Right, guys, so today we're going to look at why people are unsubscribing to your emails, because it is not what you think. And a lot of you guys are making the wrong decisions based on your unsubscribers, which should never be happening. So let's just look at what a normal customer who kind of unsubscribe looks like, right? So there's this person who has a problem that they want to solve, right? So there's this problem that they want to solve, or there's this goal that they want to get to. They're kind of browsing Facebook or Google or whatever it is, wherever you post your ads, and then they get to a point where they see your ad. And now this ad resonates with either their problem or their goal or both, right? And so the ad resonates with them. They either click on this ad or they don't click and they click on a future ad that you show to them again. Or let's just imagine like they clicked on your ad, right? So they clicked on an ad. They went where? They went to your website, right? And on your website, there's an email pop-up form. And so they subscribed to your email list. So now this person is on your email list. They might be receiving your flows, your campaigns, things like that. And if you do things properly, then this is what's going to happen, right? They're going to receive all kinds of different emails. And once they receive these emails, it's not like this person, just instantly buys. A lot of people will instantly buy, but sometimes they won't. They'll take a lot of emails. And then once they receive your emails, one of two things will happen, right? If you do things properly, if you do your marketing properly, and if things are in the right situation, right? It's not like even if you do your marketing perfectly, it's going to work 100% of the time. There's just a lot of factors outside of your control. So let's just say the circumstances are in your favor, your marketing is proper, then what's going to happen is this person is going to buy your product and their problem gets solved, or they reach their goal, or both, right? But there is also the other thing that could happen, which is their problem doesn't get solved. They decide not to buy a product, the problem doesn't get solved, and what they decide to do instead, they either buy a competitor's product, so your competitor solves their problem and their goal. And so what happens here is now they will unsubscribe to your list because they don't need your emails anymore, right? And so this person has unsubscribed from you. Let's just say it's a U sign because I can't type right here. So there is either they buy a product or they buy a competitor's product. But what could also happen is their problem just fixes itself. Their problem just fixes itself without any products. That happens a lot of times. And so they will unsubscribe again, right? And so this is what happens a lot of times, right? This is what usually happens. Now, there is also another type of person who subscribes to your email list. This person, it has a kind of a small problem, right? It's a small p, and there's a small g, right? And so there's a small problem, and the goal, they don't really care about the goal that much. And so when they subscribe to your list, let's just say this person is subscribed to your email list, you send them emails, they don't really care. Your copy and your design, your messaging doesn't really resonate with this person. And so what they do is they realize, oh, I just subscribed to this email list for no reason other than I was just trying to have some fun. And so I will also go and unsubscribe because guess what? I don't care about this brand that much, And so there's that kind of a person. There's also the third kind of person who kind of just subscribed for the discount, but usually that person just ends up buying your product or not being interested in your product. So, that person just goes there. But this guy he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have a goal. He doesn't have that problem. He just was mildly interested in your product because it was fun, right? And this person will usually also unsubscribe, right? So there's these three main types of people that end up unsubscribing to your email list. And then what you do is that you look at you got 100 unsubscribes on your email list. If you're doing everything perfectly, then this is a bad situation is what I'm saying. You got 100 unsubscribed in your email list and you're looking at this and it's like, oh, I got 100 unsubscribed. That means I'm doing something wrong with my emails. Let me change stuff in my emails based on how many unsubscribers I got. And that is not the right way to do it because look at the people who actually unsubscribe. If you're doing everything properly, these two people don't even matter to you because they were never going to give you money. These people were never going to buy a product ever, right? So you don't even need to care about these two people. Now, this person could have bought your product. You did something wrong here, but you don't know how much of that. It's because of circumstances that are out of your control, right? There's a lot that could happen that could prompt a customer to go through one of these paths instead of this path, right? Like it's not like even if you do your marketing properly, you will always get people that will unsubscribe that could have bought it from you. But it's always a very small amount of people, because people who think you can solve their problem and people who think you can help them reach their goal will always stay subscribed, because they want to hear from you, because they have this semblance of hope that you can fix their situation, right? And so they will always stay subscribed. Most of these people will always go through this path eventually, right? Or they just don't have money and they'll never go through that path. But most of those people will never end up here, because they care about what you have to say, because again, they have this problem, they have this goal, they care about what you have to say. And so out of this 100 people, the number of these types of people is very, very low. But you think everyone is coming through here, or there's this third type of person, like this third type of individual, who by the way belongs in all three of these, right? So let me just make a nice, this person doesn't like emails, or they don't like getting a lot of emails, and so they get annoyed and then they get unsubscribed, right? And so this person is also in that 100. And so what you're thinking is either most of these 100 are either these people or these people, and so you change your entire email marketing strategy based on a false assumption. But the truth is, this is very low. This is also very low. Most of your unsubscribers are these people, right? Or it's this person, this particular type of person who just they solve their problem by themselves. So for example, I have a client who is in the parenting niche, and so in parenting, guess what happens? Your kids grow up, right? Especially in the baby market, your babies don't stay babies for very long, and so babies grow up. And what happens is that this person will eventually unsubscribe from your emails, because the baby grew up, they don't need your product anymore, and this problem no longer exists, this goal no longer exists. So you're going to unsubscribe because they don't have any more babies to take care of, right? And so, it's always like this, and this, but you think it's this. So what I'm saying here is that you should not be making decisions on unsubscribers very quickly. What you need to do is analyze your email marketing, and I'm going to talk about this right now, is are you doing everything properly to decrease the number of unsubscribes that you're getting, right? And this is how you do it, right? So the number one thing you need to do is figure out how many emails people are actually getting, right? This is a big number one, right? This is because you think that people are only receiving your campaigns, your Klaviyo email. You send out an email campaign on Klaviyo and you think people are only getting those emails, but that is never the case, right? If someone has visited your website, they're getting your abandoned site flow, right? Or they're getting abandoned cart or abandoned checkout, or they're getting your welcome series. They're getting all of those flows in addition to your campaigns, and they're also getting the apps that you have. Like, so for example, if you have a reviews app, or you have a subscription app, or you have, I don't know, like a returns app, whatever you have, like a rewards app, right? Or like a points app, or like whatever it might be, like a gift card app. Like all of these apps actually have settings in them that are sending emails through your brand to these customers. And so your brand is communicating with these people in so many ways that you don't even know about. You think they're just getting campaigns, but in reality, they're getting your flows, your apps, everything. So we need to first figure out is how many emails are people actually getting, right? In a day, or in a week, or in a month. And you figured out that number. Now, I can't tell you what exact number of emails you should be sending, but because it completely depends on the size of your audience and just what kind of audience you have and things like that. But what I can tell you is that you're most probably sending too many emails. So here's what's happening, right? Someone subscribes to your welcome series, they get your welcome series, but then they also add a product to cart, and they get your cart flow. They also get your abandoned checkout flow, but because guess what? They just, they went to checkout, then they went back to cart, then they went back to checkout. Now they're getting this flow, they're getting this flow, they're getting this flow, and this person also receives your campaigns, because why not? Right? Imagine you send just campaigns to a new customer as well. Someone's receiving 4 emails in like a day or 2 days, which is just horrible. Horrible for unsubscribe rates, horrible for spam rates, things like that. So you never want to be doing that. But most email agencies and most freelancers will set up flows in a way that will cause this to happen. And you do not want this to happen. So what I do is I've set up exclusions. Like someone who is in the abandoned checkout flow should not be receiving the cart flow because they're already one step ahead in the sequence while they're receiving the cart flow, right? Someone who is in the welcome series, they should not be receiving campaigns because the welcome series is specifically designed in a way to lead them to a proper sale instead of just random campaigns that kind of resonate with the customers who have already received the welcome series, right? And so you have all of these exclusions in place in all of your flows and all of your campaigns. And then what you realize is your revenue actually stays the same, but your unsubscribe rate and your spam rate go down. And if that happens, that means in the long term, your revenue is actually going to increase because you have more email subscribers to keep now, So this is extremely important to have exclusions in your flows and your campaigns. And most people don't actually know how to do that because it takes just so much brain to make these exclusions, because you really have to figure out what is a person receiving email number 2 in your welcome series also likely to receive, and how do I make sure to make those exclusions without compromising on revenue. And so all of that is extremely technical, extremely difficult to do. But when you figure out how to do that, life just changes. And this is why I tell people to sign up with my agency, because there is no other agency that does this, right? So the next way to decrease your unsubscribe rates is actually to send relevant emails. And what I mean by relevant is basically emails that focus on these two things, right? The problem and the goal. Any email that focuses on those two things, and there might be multiple problems, by the way, there might be multiple goals, but usually they're all clustered under one main problem, right? But there's going to be like many problems inside each problem and many goals inside each goal, right? So what we want to do is talk about all of this stuff, right? Because any email that doesn't mention a customer's problem and a customer's goal is not going to resonate with that customer. And when that happens, that customer no longer cares about the email and thinks that that email is completely useless and they should not belong in their inbox. And when that happens, they're more likely to unsubscribe from your emails. They could have bought from you, but because you did not talk about their problems and their goals, they're going to unsubscribe because these are people that wanted you to talk about their problems and their goals, but you didn't, right? And the reason why why talking about their problems and goals works is because people always like it. This person really cares about this problem, really cares about this goal. And when you talk about it, their dopamine system just lights up. There's a reason why news organizations are always promoting negative news. It's like, when you talk about like all of the bad things that are happening in the world, it's like it lights your freaking brain up. It gives you dopamine. And these news organizations have figured it out. There's only two things that political parties will ever talk about, and it's like, oh, we're gonna do all of these great things for the nation, right? All of these great things to go, and the opposite party is doing all of these bad things, right? Is the problem, right? They always talk about these two things. They've figured it out, and we also have figured it out, but a lot of email marketers just don't do it because they don't know how to do it, right? And how do you do this? How do you talk about their problems and their goals? Well, first of all, you got to learn copywriting, but the main and the only way to write good copy, I say this in almost all of my videos, is to do market research, right? If you don't do market research, you're never going to be able to write about this stuff, right? All of this relies on market research, right? Super important, insanely important, right? And so if you know market research, you will know your audience by heart, especially if you're a brand owner. But these days, like I've worked with a brand for like the past 2 years doing their emails. So I can write an email for them in my sleep, just about their customers' problems and goals, because those problems and goals are so ingrained in my mind that I literally can write an email in like 10 minutes and it's going to be an amazing email that's going to make $1,000 for that brand, because that's what happens when you know your customers very, very well. So you can always write relevant emails. That's always going to make money and are always going to decrease your unsubscribe rates, right? And number 3, the third way to increase your revenue and decrease your unsubscribe rates is not to send it in the first week of January, because a lot of what's going to happen is like people, I don't know why, but I mean, you can make your own theories, but people just always unsubscribe in the beginning of January, right? It always happens with like most of the brands that I've seen, people just unsubscribe in the beginning of January. So what you can do is literally not send any emails in the beginning of January, right? It's gonna conserve a lot of long-term revenue for you. Like I literally saw a brand where the whole year they had barely any unsubscribes, and in January it was like 1,000 people unsubscribed. And the reason for that is obviously because people just like to clean up their list or something in the beginning of the year. People just clean up their entire lives at the beginning of the year, so they might as well just clean up their email list, right? So just don't send emails in the beginning of January and you won't get a lot of unsubscribes. Now, another thing that I also want to talk about is what is the reason for someone to stay on your email list, right? So, for example, when I try to unsubscribe to a brand's emails and I decide not to unsubscribe, it is because I believe that by staying on their email list, I'm going to get something. Now, usually that is because I want to buy their product or because I want to get some sort of educational value from their emails, or I want to wait for a sale. So that basically means I want to buy their product, right? So there's only really two reasons, but there's that third reason that's basically a part of this, the first reason, right? And so there's two main reasons that you can use to keep someone on your list. Either it's your product or it's your educational value, right? And the reason you want it more to be your product and less to be the educational value is quite obvious, because you want people to buy your product rather than just kind of get free value out of your email list, right? So try not to make your email list completely about education, because when you do that, it's basically like, you know, most people are there for the freebie and they're less there because of the product, right? And this is why a lot of times when brands have like lead magnets, like get a free PDF, I'm kind of skeptical of it, because it's like the people who really want to buy a product actually would care more about a discount, right? If you said get a free PDF and I want to buy a product, I don't really care about the free PDF. I just care about your product. Tell me if I can get a discount on the product, and then I'll get you on your email list. I don't want a free PDF, because most people today have figured out that most free PDFs are kind of just trash, right? It's just complete BS. Like people say, all of these free PDFs are so valuable, but you know, any customer knows that free PDFs are not valuable. It's just a lead magnet to get you on your email list, to sell you something that's of more value. So just give me that thing that is of more value, and then I'll join your email list, right? And so any customer that knows that free PDFs don't matter are not going to join for the educational value. They're going to join for the product. So a lot of times when people subscribe to your list, what you can do is do sales every now and then, not very often, just every now and then, so that people have a reason for being on you. People get something out of your list that is related to your product. And of course, keep sending educational value every now and then, so that people who do care at least a little bit about educational value as well as your product will also stay on your list. So those are the 4 ways to keep people on your list. And if you do those 4 things correctly, obviously you have good copy, good design, good sending frequency, everything as well, then you're going to completely reduce the number of people that belong in this category from unsubscribing, right? And obviously, like I said before, do not care about these people. These people are completely useless to you. This person is also completely useless to you, because it's just unfortunate, but that your product did not fix their thing, or your product had, it just missed the timing, right? Yeah, that's what I wanted to say in this video. A lot of brand owners ask me about the unsubscribes, and it's just like, it's like the least important part of email marketing if you do everything properly. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And if you are struggling with your acquisition costs, or ads aren't performing, or you just want to retain more customers, there's a link down in the description below. It's going to lead you to my website, where I explain what I do in my email marketing agency. So if you want to check that out, you can do that as well. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and see you next time.